On the 4th of September 2023, PeopleCert released the latest version of PRINCE2, the world's most popular project management methodology. But what's changed between the previous version of PRINCE2 and the latest version of PRINCE2? My name's Matt, and I'd like to welcome you to this Zindiac video where I'm going to take you through the 7 major changes to the latest version of PRINCE2. So let's start off by looking at the first, which is the most obvious, the branding. So the previous version, released in 2017, started off life as PRINCE2 2017. PeopleCert then decided to change the branding and refer to it as PRINCE2 6th edition. So you might be expecting that the latest version would be 7th edition, but no. In order to bring it into line with ITIL, which moved from ITIL version 3 to ITIL 4, they've decided to go from PRINCE2 6th edition to PRINCE2 7. So they're just using single numerical digits to identify their products now. And the other part of the branding that has changed that you will notice when you see the manual is they've dropped the Axelos brand. So in July 2021, PeopleCert bought Axelos, and it looks like going forwards they're going to slowly phase the use of the Axelos brand out and just focus on the PeopleCert brand. So certainly the PRINCE2, the new PRINCE2 manual doesn't refer to Axelos, it's just PeopleCert branded. The second major change is in the structure of PRINCE2. With PRINCE2 6th edition, we had the 4 integrated elements: principles, themes, processes, and environment. This has now become the 5 integrated elements. So we still have principles. The themes are now referred to as practices. We still have the processes. The environment, the project environment, has become the project context. Again, that largely aligns with ITIL terminology. And the really major change in this area is that the 5th element now is people, and they've put people at the centre of the methodology. So people have always been referred to in PRINCE2 largely previously in the organisation theme. Now they've separated that out and specifically have a separate element of PRINCE2 focused on people and a separate chapter in the book. The third major change, and it's not that major at all, is that the principles, there are still 7 principles, they're still the same 7 principles, but they now all start with a verb. So continued business justification becomes ensure continued business justification, and defined roles and responsibilities becomes define roles, responsibilities, and relationships. So a minor change there in how the principles are expressed, but essentially the 7 principles remain the same. The fourth change, and I mentioned it before when I talked about the integrated elements, is the themes have become practices, and the reason for that is to align it with ITIL, where between ITIL version 3 and ITIL 4, the processes became practices. Well, between PRINCE2 6th edition and PRINCE2 7, the themes have now become practices. A couple of other minor changes, naming changes. The organisation theme has become the organising practice, and the change theme has become the issues practice. So the change theme always referred to issues and how you dealt with issues. They've now made the focus of that practice issues rather than just change requests, but change requests are still in there, they're still mentioned in the issues practice. One other change regarding the practices is how they are covered in the book, and I'll talk about changes to the book shortly, But with regard to the practices, there is guidance on the application of the practices within each process, rather like there is within MSP for those of you who have studied and taken the MSP certifications. The fifth major change, and this really is quite a major change and perhaps a little controversial, is that the 6 aspects of project control, time, cost, quality, scope, risk and benefits, have become 7. Now, I say slightly controversial because the 6 that I've just mentioned are the same 6 that is used by PMP. So in PMP they have 2 triangles, time, cost, quality, scope, risk and benefits. In PRINCE2 they used to refer to them as the hexagon, but the 6 were the 6. The 6 aspects that you need to control on all projects. Well, they've added in a 7th, and that is sustainability. And I think, first of all, when I first saw this, I was a bit dubious because certainly I've worked on many projects where, in the past, where sustainability wasn't mentioned at all. But with some of the things that have been in the news, certainly in the UK, over the last few days, where sustainability of public sector buildings, particularly schools, with the use of RAAC concrete being used, I think what you would have to say is that sustainability should be an aspect of every project that you consider. And certainly my background's IT, and if you don't consider sustainability, then you end up with things like the millennial bug, the Y2K problem, and technical debt in general. So they've added in sustainability as an aspect of projects that we need to control, and I think overall that's a good thing, that's a positive thing, and specifically highlighting sustainability on your projects will mean your projects are more successful and deliver not just more benefits, but benefits for longer. So a really positive step, I think, overall. The 6th major change, and again this really is a major change, is that there are no minimum requirements. So when we went from PRINCE2 2009 to PRINCE2 2017, or 5th edition to 6th edition as they became known, one of the major changes was that they added in minimum requirements to help with tailoring. Well, they've taken all those out now, so there are no minimum requirements at all. In fact, I was really dubious about this because you kind of say, well, if there's no minimum requirements, you can do what you want, right? You can do what you want and say you're following PRINCE2 because there are no minimum requirements for PRINCE2. The only statement I can find in the book with regards to effectively minimum requirements is so long as the principles are followed, PRINCE2 is being used effectively. So really they're saying here's the methodology, use it however you want, tailor it however you want, that applies to your project, to your organisation, but do follow the principles. So it's giving you lots of flexibility, and that is indicative of what they've tried to do with PRINCE2 7, which is make it more accessible to more people. So that's a major thing they've tried to do, make it more accessible to more people. Which brings me on nicely to the 7th major change, which is the PRINCE2 book, the official PRINCE2 book. How has that changed? Well, the first change I've talked about, which is removal of the Axelos branding. It's just PeopleCert branding now. They've also shrunk it, so it's gone from 405 pages down to 342 pages, so it's a little thinner, which is good. And they've introduced scenarios. So again, if you've recently studied MSP or MOR, you'll know that they've started introducing scenarios, again to try to make the methodology more accessible, give you real world examples, so a positive change there. One of the criticisms many people gave PRINCE2 was that it was too bureaucratic. There were too many management products. Well, they've tried to address this by reducing the number of management products from 26 to 15. And they have sort of done that in the book, but not really. So what they've done is they've taken the approaches and put them into the PID. So they're not counting them. They're still there, but they've just said they're part of the PID rather than separate documents effectively. But they've increased the number of approaches from 5 to 9. So the change control approach has split into 2 effectively and become the change management approach and the issue management approach. So that's increased by 1. And they've also added 3 new approaches: the commercial management approach, the digital and data management approach, and the sustainability approach. So overall, that's actually increased the number of documents by 4. They've put the records in the project log. So again, the list of records, they're not counting, but they're still there. They've just encompassed them in a project log. So all the registers, issue register, risk register, the logs, the lessons log, they're all in the project log. And finally, the configuration item record and the product status account have effectively been merged and replaced by the product register that is also part of the project log. So they've tried to make it seem like the management products have reduced. They've actually increased slightly, but they're emphasising, I think, that they don't need to all be separate documents. That you need to have the information there, but they can be part of bigger documents. So that brings us to the end of this short video where I've talked about the 7 changes to PRINCE2 introduced by PRINCE2 7. If you want to know more about PRINCE2 7 in more detail, then please head over to zinniac.co.uk where you can purchase a full PRINCE2 7 foundation course and or PRINCE2 7 practitioner course. And if you are looking to become PRINCE2 7 practitioner accredited and you already have a PRINCE2 foundation or practitioner certificate, you can go straight to PRINCE2 7 practitioner. You don't need to do the foundation. So if you don't have a PRINCE2 qualification at all, PRINCE2 7 foundation, then PRINCE2 7 practitioner. If you have a PRINCE2 5th or 6th edition foundation certificate, you can go straight to PRINCE2 7 practitioner. And you can purchase the course including the exam voucher, ebook and official training materials at zinniac.co.uk.